I've recently been working on some interactive mind mapping software, and I'm interested to know people's views on whether they'd enjoy using this to create retro adventure games. So what I'd like to do is take you through a simple sample of how you would create a simple game, just a little scenario, just to give you an idea and get your feedback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new mind map. So here, first of all, we have a node that represents a location. I'm just going to say this is a storeroom. So I'm just going to call it the store. And on a location, we can actually give it some background music. So I'll give it a little music to play. And we can choose 3D models or 2D images. So in this case, I'm going to give it a 2D image of a castle, just to show you where you are. Now in this store, in the storeroom, I want to add another node, and this is going to be a box that you're going to be able to open. So again, I've got a 2D image for this. I'll make this bigger. And as with mind mapping software, you can create links between items just to show relationships. And you can also click on more and key in lots of details about all of these nodes as we're adding them. So in the box, when they open the box, I want them to be able to find a sword. And I've got a 3D image for this one. So there's a lot of freely available 3D images and 2D images online that you'd be able to use to create your own games quite easily. Again, show the relationship on that. So you can see it's quite quick to create a game, even though it's visually very simple. So over this side, I'm going to add a portal. So portals allow you to create different rooms. So I'll just say this is the door. And I'm naming all these nodes because you're going to be able to refer to them in the logic of the game. And I've got a 3D model of a door that I can use as well. So that's a nicer size. And you can see, if I click on the button underneath, it says go to a new location. So on the new location, you can see all the other nodes have gone. So I can now say we are in the hall. I could give it a bit of a different music for a different feel. And this is the doorway. It's created a portal back to where we came from. So it does that automatically. But you could set different destinations, so you can have quite complex locations all connected to each other. I'm going to give it my door graphic again. And because it's in VR, obviously you can position things so doors are where you would expect them to be as you go through it to line up with the other doorways and rooms. I've got a net over this side, and this is going to be a guard. Oops. So you can actually use your own physical keyboard as well, and pass-through will be supported eventually. So again, I've got a 2D image I can use for that. Now this guard, I want to have multiple states. I want to be able to attack him with the sword. So what I can do is go into advanced mode, and I can say duplicate the current state. And I've not got a picture of a dead guard. So in state 2, I'm going to change the text. Say guard is dead. And I'm just going to pick one of the default graphics. And I can change its colour. Okay, so just to point out, so in advanced we've now got 2 states. And this is how you think about the game, how many states does each object have. And what we're going to do now is add some logic to change the status of things. So I'll go back to the store. Now the sword I want to discover in the box, so I'm going to go into advanced and say it's hidden at the start. Okay, so to add some logic to this now, I'm going to start adding buttons that will appear under these more buttons. So first of all on the box, I want to have an action to open the box. So it says down here which node states will show this button, so any state will show it, that's fine. And what do you want the outcome to be of pressing that button? So I want to change the visibility of, in the storeroom, the sword. So the sword's visibility is going to change to show the node. And I think I'll also say another outcome is that we're going to change the score, and I'm going to give us 50 points for finding the sword. Okay, so you'll see that you have the health and score on the back of your hand. So that would show the sword, but we need to be able to pick it up and use it. So on the sword, I'm going to add an action, and this action is simply going to be take. So you're going to be able to actually carry nodes around. So it's applicable to all states, and the outcome is pick up this node. Okay, so we can now open the box, find a sword, pick up the sword, go to the hall. Let's put the guard, in his state 1. So on the guard we can now say, right, I want to actually use the sword. So rather than adding an action, I'm clicking a use node. Now which node state will show this button? It only makes sense to use the sword when the guard is alive. So we say just when he's in that state. And which node do I want to use? Well, I want to use, from the storeroom, the sword. And the outcome is that I'm going to change the status of the guard. So I'm going to affect this node. I'm going to change him from guard to guard is dead. And that should do it. Okay, so we can now go and try this. So if I go back to the start, and using my hand menu, I can go into play mode. So you can see now the sword has disappeared. So we can see we've got the box, and the button highlights that we can interact with that. So I'll click on more. That would have a detailed description. It could tell you lots of information about it. So I'm going to click open the box. Now that has revealed the sword. And clicking on the more button on the sword, I can see I've got the option to take. So the sword is now gone. And if I look in my hand menu, now I'm in play mode, this is my inventory. So the little circle highlights what you're currently using. So I want to go to the sword and use the sword. I can now go into the hallway and I can use the sword on the guard. Now if I'm not holding anything, or if I'm holding the wrong object, then nothing will happen. If I'm using a sword, and then we've changed the status to sword is dead, so guard is dead. So that should give you just a general idea on some of the logic. I want to add a lot more to this. I want it to be multiplayer so you can go through these with your friends. I want you to be able to share your games that you've created online so that you can quickly navigate from one game to another. And I want to add quite a bit more logic. So you can imagine you could do things like having the sword break after so many attempts, so there's health against an item. And we could also add stats for things such as having luck and skill, hit points, lots of scope. Before I do any of that really, I want to know if anybody's got any interest in creating this kind of simplistic game, or using it to create your own interactive stories as well. So please let me know your thoughts, whether it's got potential and whether you'd like to use it. So thank you.